What's up team? Andy Wang from Cliniko here, and in this video I will show you how to recognize different types of income in Xero if you run Cliniko and Xero unintegrated, meaning they are not talking to each other automatically. This process is for those of you who don't want Cliniko and Xero integrated, but you'd still like to have the breakdown of different types of income in Xero. If you take this approach, then you won't have to do any of the other unintegrated procedures, such as the GST, cash, and outstanding invoices procedure. So that's a positive, but those procedures are generally pretty quick and easy, so you're not saving that much time. On the flip side, this process is a lot more fiddly and prone to error. So I do recommend making sure your accountant is fully on board with this and is comfortable with how you're doing this process, just to make sure that they know how to work with your accounts when it comes to BAS time and tax time. With that said, let's get into it. Step number 1, we want to set up our accounts in Xero. Head over to your Xero file and go to Accounting and Chart of Accounts. The first set of accounts you want to set up is all the different categories of income that you want shown in Xero. So for example, if I want the category podiatry revenue to be shown, the account type I add is revenue. You simply enter your coding methodology. So I'm just going to go the next one down the line, and I'm going to call this podiatry revenue. When it comes to tax, I like to make the default tax setting for this account. So generally, podiatry income is GST free, so I'm going to set this as GST free income. We simply repeat this process for the different revenue types that we want to see. So you can see I've got physio income here, massage therapy revenue, podiatry revenue, and I've got a few other ones. So I've got product sales as a general one. You can go as far as breaking your product sales into the different types of products, but how deep or shallow you go here is completely up to you. Once you've got that set up, the next account you want to set up is called a sales clearing account. So you click Add Account. Account type will be a current asset. And once again, with the code, use your coding convention. I'll just select whatever's free. And I want to call this the sales clearing account. Make sure the tax is BAS excluded and you tick the box enable payments to this account. Once that's done, you're ready to move on to step number 2. Step number 2 is to ensure when sales come into your bank account and you perform your reconciliation. So you're doing the bookkeeping. Make sure you reconcile all your sales to the sales clearing account. That's the account we just set up. So if you've already got rules for your sales, you might want to edit your rules. In this case, I'm going to click Don't Apply Rule. And in this case, I'm going to say high caps income, and the account we want to send that to is sales clearing account. And I'll just do the same for the rest of my money received. And so on. Once you've done that, you're ready for step number 3. Now, this process I like to do on a monthly basis, but you can do this more frequently if you like to. Head over to Cliniko and head over to your reports. And the report you want is the practice revenue report. Simply select your date range. So for me, I'll select the month of July. So if you do this weekly, you'll do this week at the end of every week. So you just want to pull this report for that week. And I like to do invoiced amount on accruals, but if you only do accounting on cash basis, then you can simply select cash basis there and click Create Report. Once the report's made, I always like to save a copy of the report. That's it. Step number 3 is done. For the practice report, just to give you a summary, what we see is we see the revenue by practitioner, revenue by item type, and then you revenue by the category. So these are the categories which we wanted in our Xero file. So you can see that we've got product revenue, I've got all the physio types of revenue, then we've got the massage therapy, which isn't physio, and then the remaining physio items there. Realistically, you can really summarize this however you want and have Xero showing your revenue by practitioner if you wanted, or revenue just split between service and product, or you can go as deep as categorizing based on the different types of services. So once we've got this report, we move on to step number 4. In step number 4, what you want to do is at the end of your week or month, whatever your time period is, you want to create an invoice in Xero. So I'm going to go new invoice. And I'm going to call this invoice, give it something descriptive. So I'm going to call this July sales summary. And you want to date this at the end of the period that you're using. So it should be the same date as the last date in this date range. I like to keep the due date the same. The invoice number doesn't really matter. And the reference, I like to keep this descriptive. So this is the sales breakdown for July from Cliniko. Remember when we saved that report earlier? That's where we would use this. I like to drag and drop that report into this invoice so we have a good audit trail. Now we're ready to start entering our numbers. Step number 1 is to enter each service revenue group, including products. So if I look at what I have here, I've got massage therapy, I've got physio, massage therapy, and the rest of it is physio. Okay, so that's 2 groups in my service revenue. Then I've got product revenue. I'm not going to bother entering each individual type of product, so I'm just going to have products as a whole. I suggest grouping things by GST and non-GST. So for example, all my physio items here do not have GST. So I'm going to call this physio income. And with the unit price, you can see physio income automatically pre-filled here, and by default it's GST free income. What I want to do is I want to include this $110, this $100, this $100, and this $50. Now Xero does have a cool little hack here, which you can actually do the calculation in the unit price. So if we're trying to add up 110, 100, 150, then simply I can go click the equal sign, 110 plus 100 plus 100 plus 50. And I simply need to press enter and it will calculate that value for me. Next, I want to do my next category, which is massage. And in my case here, massage perfectly has 10% GST on it. So I will type in here massage income. Quantity 1, I want to make sure the account is massage therapy revenue, and I want to make sure it's GST on income. Now, because I'm entering the amounts tax exclusive, I want to make sure I enter the amount without tax on them. So for me, it's going to be 100 plus 100. Once again, I simply click 100 plus 100 and click enter, and it'll calculate the figure. To make sure that I'm on the right track, I simply check off this number, 580. You can see it's automatically added the GST on the massage. 580 with what I have here. Total service revenue is 580. That tells me that the calculation is right so far. If you have a situation where, for whatever reason, your item doesn't perfectly have a 1/10 of this amount of GST on it or 1/11 of this amount of GST on it, then you'll just need to do a manual calculation here and split it between the GST free and the GST portions. Like I said, a bit more fiddly, goes beyond the scope of this video, but I would suggest checking in with your accountant if that is the case. But generally, your items should be pretty consistent whether they have GST or no GST on them. So you can enter them exactly like I have here and just play around with the tax rate. Next, we want to enter the product revenue. Like I said, I'm not going to bother between splitting things up between frothy foam rollers or spiky massage balls. So what I want to do is enter the lump sum of $77.73. So I'm going to call this product sales. $77.73. And this will automatically code it to product sales and calculate the GST on it. So my total is going to be $665.50. And if we want to do a quick check just to make sure we've got the right numbers again, we bust out our trusty calculator and we take this total figure here, including tax, $580, and add this total here, including tax for the product revenue, $85.50, and we've got our $665.50, which is exactly what we have here. Once I'm done here, I can simply click approve. Once this invoice is approved, we will now want to mark this as paid. The date paid should be the same date that your process is dated for and the invoice is dated for. So it's the end of the month for me. And the account that is paid to is the sales clearing account. Remember that box we ticked, enable payments to this account when we set up that account in step 1. If we didn't tick that box, this will not show up. So make sure you do tick that box. You can add a reference if you wanted to. Otherwise, you simply click add payment. That's it. That's a process. I'll leave the how a clearing account works for another video, but if you do have any questions at all or have a request for a video, please let me know in the comments. In terms of how this works, once again, because this is a bit more fiddly and in depth, I'll cover the how it works using the clearing account in another video, but I do recommend checking with your accountant to make sure they're fully on board with this so they know how to work with your accounts when it comes to tax time. Once again, it's been Andy Wang from Cliniko, and I hope you found this useful.